microphone, sir.
I talked with Ms. Gillian last week, and she would like for us to have an A and a B joint session in January. We looked at it on some calendars, and it looked like we could possibly meet at 5:30 on January the 6th. Can y'all look at y'all's real quick and see if that would happen? She just wants to get together and see what exactly with our lawyer and stuff, what exactly can we do together, what can we not do together, to try to be more efficient. And we did one, if y'all remember, well, me and Cheryl may be the only ones on it. Remember, we did that about 3 years ago, and it was good. Yes. So.
Who was the one that did the training 3 years ago? Was it the city lawyer?
It was a lawyer, I don't know which one.
Yes, we had, at the time, it was Brown and Hoffmeister, and we had
Looks like it is. Nope.
Okay, at that time, when we had that meeting, Brown and Hoffmeister were the attorneys, and there is a man on their staff, one of their partners, who specializes in A and B law, I think. He was the type B. Gary, do you remember this, or was this even before your time?
Before my time.
Before your time, the last time you were
Is
mayor?
after my time and before my time.
I think he was the mayor at that time.
You might have been, it was maybe right at the beginning of the first time you were back on as mayor. I can't remember his name, but if you go back, you'll probably find it.
So
Anyway.
what do we hope to accomplish with this?
To try to find out ways that we can work together in different projects, if there's some things that we can go hand in hand with and where we can't. Thinking especially with stuff like sidewalks and things like that, that possibly could be a big,
I don't know that economic development can do that.
right, but that's why we would have, that's why we get together just to see.
I have the contact for the attorney at Brown and Hoffmeister,
Okay.
plus a few other alternative ideas, or people to reach out to if that date is not available for that person. So I've reached out to several on that.
Okay, I do appreciate it, because my concern was, can we get somebody here on the 6th? So
Yeah.
we are working on that. So,
Look at my schedule. 6th of January,
Well, if it's in the morning,
it's a Monday.
It'll be a 5 afternoon.
yeah, it
So
should
5:30
be,
deal,
yeah, 5:30 would be fine.
5:30 in the morning,
No, I'm sure you're up.
6, yeah. I don't know that I have anything then.
So at least we know we're open at that time. If something can happen, then we're good. So it's not an action item, it's just she just asked if we would see if we were available, if it was possible, so. We'll leave that with the powers to be. Public comments, I've got two. Mr. Jackson, were you filling one out? I saw you had one in your hand. Have you turned it in, or? Oh, okay. I've already got, what's yours, Paul? I've already got one for you. You got another one right there in your hand, or is that? No. Oh, all right. Paul Knott, 107 Old Mansfield Road, Christmas Parade.
Yes, thank you, Teddy. There we go. All right, I'm here to thank you for, and I provided you a roster there. First of all, I want to thank you for those banners, the banner posts. I think for the 3rd consecutive year now, they've promoted the parade, and I think that helps. I think our attendance has greatly increased since you started that three years ago. So thank you very much. And then for the parade, I'm here to thank you for your financial support. You, Type A and Type B and Type A are major contributors, as you can see from that roster there. But I also wanted you to know that, that you're not alone. There's many others who contribute. Certainly, Oliver Technologies and Hughley and Pinnacle Bank are very large contributors. And then you'll see there's a lot up and down Old Betsy Road who give anywhere from $150 to $200. So it really is community support. And I suppose they would give more if I asked them. I didn't ask them for any more than that, and that's what they've consistently been contributing. So thank you. We did come in under our $12,000 budget. The parade and fireworks are about $12,000. And we didn't spend over that. So we had 60 floats. We had approximately 4,000 spectators. But what I'm really most proud of, I think, is the 75 people behind the scenes who you don't see. You don't see the registration people, the starters. I know Gary drove, thank you very much, Gary. Not everybody sees the drivers. You just don't see, all the radio communication people up on Mockingbird, no one sees them. If you start at Lightspeed Poultry, you don't see the starters down at Pinnacle Bank. So they are behind the scenes, and they are there, and I'm going to recognize them at City Council Thursday. But that's what I wanted to tell you, Type B. Thank you very much. Your support is greatly appreciated, and it's a big part of that parade. So
Yeah, very good
thank
parade.
you. Thank you.
Hang on. Why does it, Pinnacle Bank, okay, here's Pinnacle Bank, yeah, Pinnacle Bank Burleson. I was going down through here and I missed Pinnacle Bank at start, and I'm saying, why would Pinnacle Bank Burleson contribute and not Pinnacle Bank? But my bad.
Just between us here, that was Waylon Cisco, who has now moved to Mountain Valley. And so Mountain Valley contributed this year, but Mountain Valley made it very clear to me that that'll be the last time they contribute. There's a little unofficial territorial war there with all the Pinnacle banks. So, okay, but we continue to be blessed by Pinnacle Keene, as we are Type A and Type B.
Did Republic Waste Management?
Can I sit down and just?
No.
I'm just gonna
You came
stay.
down here at this meeting, you're at our pleasure.
Oh, really?
Pleasure is a strong word, but I know the word you mean, I know what you mean by it.
Ricky wouldn't use that word.
That's
Oh, he
us
wasn't? Yeah.
stretching it a lot.
No, Republic did put a truck, they put a vehicle in, but they've been a little iffy on the parade. They're in the golf tournament, they're other things. Sometimes I balance, like,
Right.
you don't see general insurance, but I don't want to go to Richard for everything, because Richard will be there when we need him for other things. So that's kind of how that works. At least that's how I work it.
Well, then you ought to charge Richard for watching it.
Richard for watching it.
I'm so glad you don't help me when I do this.
He drove. I want to
Yeah,
mention,
you did drive. Thank you very much. That was very important.
but I do want to mention that Southwestern gave us money as well as all of their space to organize and to launch our parade from, and that's a huge,
No, of course, where would we be without Southwestern? And, they don't charge us for the use of Lightspeed Poultry, for the parades, for the expo, certainly.
and they opened the gym.
And that's consistent with the cooperation here among town and gown, with Ricky and Southwestern and Chisholm Trail Academy, and so it's great.
We're only here because of Southwestern to start with, because it wouldn't have been for Keene Industrial Academy, there would be no town of Keene, it'd be named something else.
Probably Heinrich. It would be
No,
Heinrich.
no, no.
And there would be nobody
It'll be
here.
up there in Oklahoma.
It'd be a-
Okay.
Might
Now,
be Heinrich maneuver.
I'm going to sit down.
Technically, you're 3 minutes right.
I-
It'll be- yes,
yeah, and
they
I
are.
think this is,
You're up 5 minutes ago.
All right,
Off
Mr. Troy
topic.
Smith, 310 Woodlawn Drive, adding fence to pickleball courts.
Good afternoon, council. Boy, that was loud.
not.
Okay, so yes, so as you guys all have, hopefully everybody has one. I quickly drew this up just before getting in here. And as you can see, the only addition that I put in there was adding a chain link fence to block balls going from the single court on the north end to the two southern courts. Now typically there is a very good etiquette in pickleball, thankfully, right? So balls traveling side to side don't happen too often. And so, and when it does, they always just call ball, everybody stops play, so nobody rolls an ankle. They get the ball back in the court that it's supposed to. And that works out fine for the two lower courts. But on the north court, if you're getting balls from the southern courts, it can be quite taxing to get that ball back to them. And even if you do a 42-inch fence, which is the typical height, you're still going to have a ball or two that goes over because somebody smashed an overhead and it bounced up and over. So you're still going to have balls over, but to protect balls from going to the north court or from the north to the south, I'm asking that you entertain putting in a chain link fence across both courts and then leaving a 4-foot shy area where the gate is at, so that way people can get into those court areas by way of passage. So That's what I came here for, is to
Troy, what's
ask that to be put on.
What's the different distance between that fence and the back line, baseline?
What was that question again?
From the fence to the baseline of each court, what's that distance? When you separate, when you put the fence, how much room do you have, do you know?
You still should have 10 feet between the courts, so, which is,
Like 5 feet, then 5 feet behind the
no,
wall?
no, like, you should still have almost 10 feet,
To get to the fence.
yeah, to the
Well,
fence,
yeah,
which is
not-
perfect, yeah.
Wouldn't be any problem.
It's between 8 and 10 feet. Yeah, yep. So, which the minimum is 5, but I played a tournament one time, and I'm not kidding you, I hit that fence so many times backing up, trying to hit a ball, and it was not good. So having 8 feet actually does work, you know, a little more, which is why it was designed this way, so.
So was that not a concern from the get-go? Because I know you helped design the pickleball court. And so was that not an issue it initially brought up whenever we built it?
Initially, it was kind of like, let's do baby steps. That's why there's still a void here, right? So we didn't ask for the whole enchilada at once. It was like, hey, let's do something with $175,000 first, and then start adding these little baby steps in later. So I feel like if we came at you guys with the whole enchilada, it would have been almost $250,000, and everybody would have cringed a little bit. So, but now that Type B has already done this portion, it's easier to come back and ask for little things as we go. I mean, obviously, we've talked about lights. We're hoping that the communication starts to happen on those, so that way we could get that. Really, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get this thing set up for the springtime, so then that way, when it does get to be nicer out, we start seeing that thing full day and night, because we've got lights out there, we've got this fence, and then hopefully I come visit you guys in January, February, and we talk about different park benches or tables and chairs, however we want to design that space over here. It'd just be nice to have it all set up by April when we're all wanting to get outside and play, so.
And I also think, Daniel, remember the original design, they were gonna be angled different angles. So they may not have been originally back to back like that. Remember we had to turn them?
Yeah,
I think
the
it initially was, like, whenever it got signed off, it was like
It
this.
got- it got
And I think
turned.
that was kind of tossed around, was like separating it because of the balls, and I think it kind of got nixed to where it's like, that's not an issue.
Yeah.
And I'm just concerned about, like, is it gonna cost even more now that it's, after the fact, or would it have been cheaper to do it during the entire phase?
I think the chain link fence is a relatively cheap option. You don't even have to drill into the concrete. You can actually just bolt them down and have a string of chain link going across there. So I think, Don can probably speak to as far as maybe a cost for that. I don't even know what fence would run at this juncture, but I can't imagine it'd be more than $5,000, to be honest with you.
It shouldn't be too much, but this is not an agenda item, so we
Yeah,
can't
we-
really.
No, I understand,
We'd have
yeah.
to push it down the road.
This is just something that I'm asking you to put on the agenda so that way you can speak about it.
I agree with, we need to look into it for sure.
Yes, we'll look into it and get
Because
some.
you know,
prices.
it is frustrating to chase balls all over the place. for
Yeah.
sure.
But I would think that 42 inches, if you say there's some balls that probably get over, once you raise it up some, surely the cost differential wouldn't be very much from 42 to 48 or 60 or something.
That's true. For camaraderie, to be able to lean over and talk to somebody on the other court, 42 is the perfect resting height, to.
Yeah, but you're right, 4 foot's gonna be that more natural fence height. Might as well go I would agree, 6 foot, all of a sudden you're playing inside a cage, but
Yeah,
4 foot for sure.
Yeah.
so.
All right, we'll put
Okay.
that on the future.
Thank you,
agenda.
guys.
Thank you, Troy. All right, review, discuss, and consider applications of Philip Jackson, Nellie Youngberg for appointment to the Keene Economic Development Board. Last time, we talked about setting the deadline for applications. Was that this month, or what did we set? Do you remember?
It was tabled until other applications were received.
Okay.
And so we've received one,
Okay.
and that was Nellie, so it's come back.
My thought would be that we would set up a time possibly, maybe set by the next meeting, that we take everybody that has applied by then and bring them in and discuss their meeting, and then choose somebody.
Are these coming in voluntarily, or is somebody out there beating the bushes trying to find somebody?
No, we've done advertising on the website, and both individuals have expressed interest in specifically this board, so.
I think whenever we do make that decision, I think we need to have them tell us their motives, their thoughts, why they want to be on the,
Yeah.
whatever, I think so,
To appear before the committee, I agree with that.
So we want to set on a agenda item for next time to bring anybody that has applied before the committee to talk and then vote?
So move.
Second.
Well, I can't make it, so, all right, good deal. Any more, just us four?
Yeah.
All in favor? All right, so that's what we'll do next month. Anybody that's applied to that point, we'll bring them before, question them, and make a decision. All right, city staff on repairs, electronic marquee, and community center sound system.
Go ahead, sir. I don't know much about what was going on with the sound system, to be honest with you.
Oh, the sound system, sorry.
Well, it's both, the marquee
Yeah,
sound and
so
the
the sound system, Mark Miosi and I met. He came in, he looked at everything. He also looked at that mixer, and he said that actually that mixer probably would work. He was doing research and all the different kind of things. But what he wants to do is come back, and he said it would take, he wants to bring his equipment and basically put it through the paces just to see, because I really, my gut tells me the equipment in there is good enough. It's just nobody really knows how to work the equipment. Based on what I've heard is that it was kind of this, only a few people, it kept it really, they held it to their chest instead of teaching everybody, and then those few left. And so he, from everything he saw and looked at, he thinks it looks adequate and looks good for what we need it for. It'd be nice to get the other projector up there and, some of the things that are missing, but the actual quality of the product itself, he says it's, the brands are, decent and good. And so, anyway, so he's gonna come back and just put it through the paces. He said he would just, charge us a couple hours to do it, and then he'll be able to tell us exactly what we have. And then he said he would teach all of us how to use it.
All right, and then the board?
marquee sign.
Well, thank you, Ricky, for sending your people. I did not realize that they were here local, which is, I got to spend quite a bit of time talking to, what's the main gentleman?
Robert?
Yeah, Robert. Really, really great guy. And it's kind of cool to know that we have this type of resource literally in our backyard. They spent quite a bit of time. They sent us a report that the product, they don't support the particular product, but it does seem to be broken, inferior, use whatever words. They did send us a quote, which is in your packet there, for them to completely redo it. Again, my gut tells me that's kind of the path that we're going to have to move towards to get the thing working. And if we are going to do that, I would prefer to go with the company that is right here in the city to support it. And as far as I can tell, Dr. Stevens, you've had great success and support with this company, so.
Yeah, if you've been inside our gym, which I don't know how many of y'all, Daniel has for sure, Paul, I don't know if Paul, have you been inside the gym the last year? I'm sorry? Have you been inside the gym at the school in the last year? No. Troy, have you? Since we had the huge video board put up in the high school? They did our video board in the high school, and, yeah, they do a really good job. with what they
I'll
do.
have to come over and check it out. You do movie night.
Who's responsible? I understand that we didn't get the board we paid for.
That's what we were told.
Who was responsible for the build design thing of City Hall? Was that Bloxham or was that Callahan Freeman?
I believe it was
Steve
That's the same people.
Freeman.
Huh?
Bloxham is the owner of Callahan Freeman. Of Fabcrete.
Yes, and been that way for years and years. But who was responsible for telling us we didn't get the board, or who should have been responsible for watching after making sure we got the board we paid for?
Normally it's the general contractor, and I don't remember
As Bloxham, wasn't it?
I can't remember his name. That was a long time.
Yeah, but Bloxham, the company.
Maybe. All I know
I
is,
think the company that put it in was it VCR Now that did that? Is that who?
correct. Yeah, it was VCR Now, and we kind of parted ways with them at the end because they weren't doing what they had promised in the contract.
And they had done that, that was kind of their MO toward the end.
Yeah,
We had the
but-
same problem too with them.
Weren't they, I mean, doesn't the general have some kind of responsibility in this to make sure to deliver the final thing is delivered to us? I mean, you can't just say, oh, well.
Normally, yes, but I wasn't part of that at
Okay.
the time, so I can't really answer that.
And the other problem you run into is with technology, it goes out of,
Yeah,
Date.
it, and at this point, it's 5-year-old technology that
older than
they
that.
can't even work on because it's basically so outdated.
And probably
So-
from their side, they're gonna look and say, this is what.
Well, I was just wondering if Bloxham owes us some money.
I wasn't involved in that, so I can't answer that.
So did we figure out who, like, what department owns that board? Whether it would be B, A, or,
Well,
I think we kind of.
It's probably B.
What,
On that board
More-
outside?
More than, if I can, more than likely it would be shared between, the city and B-Board, promoting, community events,
Yes.
community center events, things of that nature. So it'd be, more than likely would be a shared 50/50 or however.
And this board here, how big is it compared to what's out there?
I think it says in the very top of
Yeah,
it.
it's 19 by 39, but compared to what's out there, how big? Is that about the same size
It's
as
about
brick
the
and all?
same size, because the quote they were gonna give us was to kind of replace it with, right?
Utilize the structures that are out there.
Yeah,
just put the new-
I don't have one of those in front of me, but I think it says in that first little, it says the existing sign is this size and this one is this size. I think it says that on that first.
on the first
Yeah.
page?
Who's that?
Installation on existing structure built by others. It
Yeah, it
does
says
look like,
existing sign is,
it's
Get
down the
together.
third thing.
Yeah, existing sign is
Is it in-
25, 60 millimeters
Mm-hmm.
wide.
right.
Yeah,
So if you, for all you school people that are, metric and,
yeah.
So I guess, do we know if it would be similar to the one in the high school gym? Do you know, Stevens?
I think it would be more similar to the one at the Saturday Adventist New Church.
The one down
The
2280?
one that's right there,
Oh, that one going-
directionally, right
Yeah.
over here.
For Egan.
Bunny and Henry Reed.
Yeah,
It's
down
gonna
to
be real
Egan.
similar to that one, because that's the one Radiant did. They did that one for that church.
Okay.
Now, size-wise, I'm not sure, but that's a pretty good sign if you've gone to ES,
Yeah.
you can read it, it's
Yeah,
big.
you see it.
Yeah, because I'm curious if it has the same, well, I guess it would have the same capabilities like the gym does,
Oh, I would assume, yeah.
where you could program it, have different advertisements. So if we have the parade, we could advertise those events on the sign?
And he even talked, when we were talking, he was talking about the ability, because right now, it's kind of like you either got to hook a keyboard up to it, or there is a way to send, but you still have this one central computer that you have to do everything from, whereas this would incorporate technology where you have the app, so people can access and update things remotely and from
Yeah.
home. And, if all of a sudden there's an ice storm, or we're all frozen, those types
Still
of
use
things.
it.
So we can still utilize it, from wherever. Obviously, those who have permissions.
Yes.
So right now, what we're doing, we're just discussing the update. So do we want to ask the city to pursue 2 more bids to move forward on a sign that would cost around this much? And have it on the agenda item later on?
I would
We
say,
can't decide anything today, except.
for sure, yeah, I would say, yeah, get a couple of bids, and I think it sounds like getting a whole new sign would be in our best interest.
I agree. So we all pursue that for next meeting to, because if it's split
Okay.
in city, then maybe on 25.
Yeah, that's not too
Can we
bad.
put sort of a timeline on that? Because sometimes we're waiting like 3 or 4 months because we're not getting more bids.
But we should be able to have bids to you by next month.
Okay,
I mean,
good.
we only meet once a month, right?
Right.
Yes, but still, I mean, when we're still
That's
waiting.
something I can have Kit help us with.
I mean,
That was her nice way of saying we really like it not to be next August.
Yes,
She's just too nice to say it that way.
but Cheryl, we've been without it for what, 4 or 5
well,
years
yeah.
now? And so,
If- Well, it's sort
I
of
mean,
been
if
with
it
it.
makes it 2 months, it's not going to hurt too much.
Yeah, but I don't want to wait 4 or 5 more years.
Exactly.
Does the city have anything in the general budget for that marquee sign? don't have any.
But if we do, we can always switch to capital.
Well, if we're planning on doing this, B board probably just ought to shoulder the responsibility and be done with it. And then we won't have to let the city tell us how to use it. Oh,
At the
I
end
guess
of
we
the
could charge
day-
the city to utilize it after that.
Yes, we rent it.
That sign, the sign is 9 feet wide by 5.5 feet tall.
The one out there is?
Yeah, I just measured it, so if
the
they're gonna
whole
put in some,
structure.
if they're gonna put in something comparable, that's what you're looking at. 9 feet wide, 5.5 feet tall.
okay.
Thank you. Bigger than I thought.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
All right. Oh, minutes. Anybody ready to make a motion to accept the minutes from last meeting?
I'll move to approve as presented.
Need a second.
Second.
All in favor? And Brother Charles, financial report.
Good afternoon, Board. For the Octobers, I don't have that on me. It sure is in your packet, but we can go over it. And thank you, Ms. Holly, for having it on the slide there. As you can see, for the revenue part for October, we got a substantial amount of sales tax for the month of October. You can see 34,764, which is a little more higher than the norm. That's a good thing for us, for that. Other than the interest income and miscellaneous revenue, the total amount of the revenue for October was $39,600 some dollars. As you can see, that's about 3 percentage points above our target, which is very favorable. Going to the expenses, you can see that the bottom line numbers for that right a little bit more than what target, that 26,327 for the pickleball courts. Those amounts kind of skew the expenses to be a little higher than the target for that. Overall, it's pretty good. I will have Ms. Donna to come up for the Novembers, but as you can see for the money market account, in comparison to last year, you can see the numbers there is very favorable for the B board. Is there anything else that you see that have any questions for the month of October? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Board. I'll be presenting on the November financials. So we do have some good news for our sales tax revenue year-to-date is 59,765, which slightly puts us a little bit over our 16.7% target. So we're roughly at 17.6 for the month of November. Our grand total for revenue side, including our interest income and our miscellaneous revenue, it stands at 66,423, which puts us at nearly 2% over our target. On the expense side, for the expenditures for the month of November, it totaled to 53,296.33, which puts us at 19.6%, which is 3% above our target. The reason for that is because we had that 26,327 payment that we made out for our pickleball court construction. In our money market account, we currently have 59,077.39, which is above our target compared to last year's balance. This concludes the report for November. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
I have one. What's our monthly payment for the community center?
It's the 5,555.
It's where,
5,005.
So that's at
you
the,
said how much now?
It's down there. 400, 110.
it's at the second page, 400, 110, 75,
95.
95, annual payment for community center. The monthly payment is the 5,555.
5,565,
5,000, sorry, 5,555.
555, all fives.
Yes, sir.
In some sense.
How much do we still owe on that? 55,000?
Yeah, this is,
I don't go with this but once a month, so I don't,
yes, it's like she indicated, the 5,555. This is the second month, so it's right around 11,000. We do this annually for the next 10 years. It's part of our loan for the community center. So you'll see that amount, 66,000 and some odd dollars for the next 19 years.
so we owe 19 years on it at the monthly rate.
Right. For every year.
It's probably more than we're worth, Charles.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
That has been a blessing to us, though, the community center.
Yes, sir. I do, as we talk about the community center, if I may, I do have an update. The last meeting you guys requested for me to bring the community center budget and also a copy of the rental agreement. So I do have that here. So, I will touch a little bit on the current, cost structure that we have, and then I'll go into the budget. So I did run the numbers and try to give you a little bit of an idea when we said we're not getting much from the community center. So for a full day with kitchen, if you can look at the form, it gives you how much the cost is, the possible refund. For a full day with kitchen, the city makes, after the refund, $600. For a half day with kitchen, the city makes $400. For a full day without kitchen, city makes $500. Half day without kitchen, city makes $300. Now, on the expense side, we have employee that works the community center. They're paid at an overtime rate for working the community center. It varies on the amount depending on which employee and their rate. For whoever is taking that shift for the community center. When I ran the numbers, I used the person that is primarily the person that does the community center events. Her rate is $36.16. And for a full day, she works anything from 6 a.m. to midnight, so it could be 6 hours to 12 hours. For a half day, it's 6 hours or less. So just roughly giving an estimate using the maximum hours she's worked. Let's say she's working an event for a full day with kitchen. So we already established that the city makes $600. Of that amount, if we're putting her hours at her hourly rate, that puts us at $433.92. And so that leaves the city with $166.08. Not including overhead costs. That's just the personal cost to work it. If it's a full day with no kitchen, it leaves the city with $66.08 because the city only makes $500 when there's no kitchen involved. For a half day, city makes $400. Personnel costs, let's say we're using the maximum hours for half day of 6 hours at her rate, gives the personnel cost of $216.96 after taking out her amount, it leaves the city with 183.04. Half day with no kitchen, city makes 300. Personnel cost is 216.96. Leave the city with $83.04. So this is just, like I said, an estimate, just kind of giving you an idea. Just the personnel costs, no overhead costs, no maintenance or anything like that. These are the type of revenue that we're talking this community center is generating. In regards to the budget, if you look at line item, GL code 100, 160, 6105, there's a single line item that's called routine maintenance, and we have that at 2,000. That's the only amount that we have in the budget for maintenance, and maintenance can run from any amount. Just in this month, we had to pay $696.50 for a repair for a freezer and refrigerator. So starting off this fiscal year, we're already starting to spend on repair costs.
Does the city have any, or does finance department have any recommendations on what we should charge to?
So Kit and I have been working this project. She did get a couple prices of nearby cities. And so when Mr. Brent was here, we did not complete the project, but we start like looking on different things that we can do. One of the recommendations, of course, we do have to up our price, but we're also thinking about restructuring our current cost structure instead of having this price and they get everything, like have a set price for deposit and then a chair is an add-on, the sound system, all the different things that we currently has as a all-for-one package, start putting a cost to each of those like add-ons. That's what other cities do. Another thing is we do have to increase that $125 for the cleaning deposit, and we also have to consider making that a non-refundable deposit, because a lot of the time people will be like, oh, well, if it's just $125, you can keep that, but then the magnitude of work that they leave, the mess or the state in which it is, it doesn't compensate for the amount of work that staff has to do, and then sometimes we have to reach out to mop and brooms to have them come and do spot cleaning, which is not budgeted.
I got two thoughts on that. Neither one of them he'll allow me to die on, but they're just my thoughts in general. One is, we probably should charge a cleaning fee, period.
Pick up your
And that
mic.
deposit on top.
Is your mic on, Ricky?
I was coughing a while ago. My thing is that one would be to charge a cleaning fee, period, and then, like you say, have a deposit they can get back. That way they still have an interest in cleaning, but it's not total cleaning. And then my other thing is just more philosophical. I mean, we're using the taxpayers' money to build this. Therefore, I don't see it as a money maker. I see it as a service to our community. So anytime we can keep the process close to just breaking even as we can, I don't think it's a bad thing, because the people in this community built this thing with their money. So I'm not out there trying to make $500 a night when we come out. I mean, if we can make a little and not lose money, it's a service. And that's kind of how I look at it. So I'm not out there looking for huge profits.
I agree with that, because like, you don't want the community not to be able to benefit from it. And being able to, because it's always booked, like being able to have the community book it at a reasonable price is definitely something that I would like to keep.
I mean, definitely pay people, definitely,
sure.
definitely do all that.
And I guess, you know, figuring out how much it's costing to actually run it is an eye-opener for us. And the cleaning costs definitely, you know, anybody could walk out on $125 and not even think twice about it.
When I had took over the commissioner, the people that were here before, because another issue that we had, there's a Band-Aid on it for now, but we do run into staffing issues, so we do not have staffing per se for that. What basically, we have the ladies up front, they would decide who is able to work the community center. Of course, sometimes they're out sick or they have other obligations and they're not able. We try to rotate. We have the girls up front. We also have Kit that we try to rotate once we have an event that we do have somebody working in. But I was told that in the past they had a part-time or a as-needed basis position. I didn't know how that worked out, but that was also one of the things that came up, if they were gonna have like additional recommendation and how we can fulfill shortages for that.
At one time, there was a person who we basically gave a monthly schedule to, they would tell us whether or not they could come and be the person that was there. I'm thinking it was Marissa Nolasco. I'm not sure. For some reason, because she does that kind of thing in other venues. The other thing, do we have a regular building maintenance person who goes around with a checklist to make sure about all the equipment and things like that? Because you mentioned the cost for the maintenance of the refrigerator and freezer and, so is that something we should be paying part of the salary for? Or,
Well, right now, at the back of the agreement, what was newly added to it was the community center refund checklist, that basically whoever works the community center, they would do a walkthrough after the event to make sure they go through all of that. Kit has been the one primarily to look at anything in regards to maintenance and stuff like that. She is the one. Other than her, it is basically her and Mr. Don. They're the one that
Okay.
anything is wrong, they would communicate and see how we
so,
can get
but we
this
don't
fixed.
have somebody who, like I have an agreement for somebody to come to my house yearly or twice a year, I think, to make sure that my heating and air equipment is gonna transition and that, you know, from winter to summer and stuff like that, checking various things. I know that churches, which I have experience with in the past, would have some, contracts with people who came and made sure that all the equipment in their fellowship hall was up and running and decent. And sometimes, you know, those kind of organizations have people within
So you're
their
talking-
membership. But I'm talking about somebody who makes sure that these things, I mean, you don't have an on-site person because you contract for your janitorial things.
Yes.
So that might be a part of that person's job, but yet now we don't have that person. So I just think, for me, I go in there into the kitchen once a month for some reason or another.
At home,
Here, and I find that, you know, maybe the ice maker is completely defunct. Now it's working now because we got a new one last year. Or like when we tried to put the ice cream in the freezer for our July luncheon and everything was mush because, oh, the thing was, you know, was dirty and not working, and it hadn't had any kind of maintenance, the freezer, for probably, who knows, since it was built, you know? So I'm just wondering about that kind of thing too.
Like a preventative maintenance?
Yes.
I can explain some of that. What happens to you is you have a change of personnel in City
Yes.
Hall. That rolls along, you have a change in council, and nobody knows who did that the last time.
And it's not in anybody's job description.
But as your interim city manager, I got those two fixed.
Right.
Because we called some people and said, who did you use?
Mm-hmm.
Who furnished this? And we called them, and they came out and fixed both the refrigerator and the freezer. And the front door wasn't working.
Right, and now it
So-
does.
So
Thank
Kitty,
you.
Kit found all those people, and we got those things fixed, so. But with the change of things, and you don't know who they used in the previous, it's like the building. Who's responsible for that sign out there? Nobody knows. Because we keep changing personnel, we change council members, all that kind of thing, and it's hard to keep up with, even employees. I mean, they
Well,
come and go.
I just feel like if that was if that was part of somebody's job description, when you hired that person, that would also be something they would take on. What I'm wondering is if this board, because we take responsibility for that, just like with the park maintenance, we're taking on some of that. If the problem is the funding and the budgets and what have you, we need to start looking forward to contributing to that too. That was what I was trying to get around to. I sort of went down a rabbit trail, I realized.
Well, part of that job description you said is part of the park maintenance, building maintenance as well, but we don't have anybody in that position at this time.
Is that a position we've had before?
We just started last year.
Okay.
But then when we lost the lawn care service contract, they were spending all that time doing the lawn care and not building maintenance. Is there a fly in the room?
Mr. Knott has something that maybe can help us move forward.
Get me off my spot.
Stay there. You know, when Nathan was here, Nathan Dambrano, he asked if I would ever be available to help out when staff couldn't. So I was, I think, number one on the list. I was never called, but there would be people in the community who could just come in and supervise. And I'd be more than willing, you know, Jonathan, at our luncheons, we have the chair of the Johnson County Builders, Johnson County Realtors, the Johnson County Republican Women were there last time, business leaders who are looking for a place just like the community center to hold workshops and seminars. If you want to take 2 or 3 minutes to promote the community center at our luncheons, you'd certainly be welcome to do that.
Yeah.
And the other thing I want to encourage you to is, you know, there's a whole group of people who now have moved into Bristol Oaks who have no idea the name of that park over there. Is it Elisa Carper Park? Is it Elisa Carner Park? Is it Elisa Carter Park? I don't know. That letter is missing, and I can't tell if it's
Still
Carper
missing.
Carner or.
No, that's not part of the discussing and approving this
That should have been a,
financial board report.
Is
So
that on the agenda? Let's put it on the agenda.
we have had it on there. It's been on there quite often. We're supposed to be moving forward with it.
Are we
So-
doing anything about that? The V?
Kit was working on it, and she got a company, I can't remember the name of the company, that said, yeah, we can make that for you, we'll get it for you, bring it to us. We brought it to them, and then I asked her, I said, well, are they gonna paint it, or can they come out and repaint all of them because they're looking kind of shabby? And then when she reached back out to them, it was like crickets, we haven't heard back from them yet. So,
Sometimes-
something in the works.
Sometimes Thanksgiving, Christmas, people just go missing.
It is a tough time of year.
All right, we entertain a motion to approve the financial report.
So move.
Second.
Second, any last questions?
I guess, is there any way we could, put that on a future agenda and see about doing something for the?
Probably needs to be a
community center?
specific one that
Correct,
says
yeah.
about the civic center
That way we can,
fees and stuff. Because we may need to look at a 10 or 15% raise to cover all that stuff.
For
So,
sure.
yeah, we'll put that on our agenda for next month.
The city's actually working on our entire fee schedule packet for water, sewer, everything.
Awesome.
Permits, they haven't been changed in years, and inflation has gotten ahead of us. So we're trying to put that all together as one.
Awesome. All those in favor? All right, thank you. All right, we're going to go into executive session now to deliberate real property issues. So we will say it is now 4:23 as we go in. We'll go that room back in the back, I'm assuming. That's it, yeah.
You have to call the time to reconvene, ask if there's, or announce that there's no motion, ask if there's a motion. And then you
All right, 4:49. What, I mean, I've never done that coming out of exec. What do I need to do? Is there any motion coming out of exec?
No.
Nope. All right, motion adjourned. Second? All in favor? Adjourn at 4:50? Wrote it down, 4:23.
Does he have to have a motion to adjourn? No.
No, you
all
just
he
say,
has to
"See ya."
have is say, bang.
Yep.
gavel.
Everybody wants to, I like doing that too.